Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the Doge, the US aid payments, government contracts, fraudulent government contracts, misuse and abuse of taxpayer money in the United States. Now, in the Treasury and the IRS department, the taxation office type thing in the United States, that they've discovered huge, ongoing, sort of almost eternal IT maintenance, support, installation, upgrade projects in information technology and computer systems that have gone on for a decade, more than a decade, and it's big bucks going out the door. And no one knows what the project's for anymore. No one knows the work that they're doing or not doing. No one knows what service is actually being provided, what benefit it offers, what it delivers in terms of results or outcomes. It's just unknown. The money is just disappearing into a black hole, going into a large money revenues, going to a large multinational IT sort of service contractor. Now, when the questions get asked, well, what is it exactly that you guys do and what are you doing? No one seems to know, but the payments keep getting made, and there are armies of IT subcontractors, mostly people imported from India, supposed IT experts. And some of these contracts, or many of them, are paid out on a headcount basis. So the company only needs to say, the IT firm said, well, we're employing 1,000 people to work on this contract for this government department, or 2,000 or 10,000 or whatever the number might be, and they're paid on a per head basis. So they're paid $500 an hour for for example, for every contractor that is supposedly working on this. Now, what are these contractors doing? Well, nobody knows. What work are they doing? Searching, just a guess, search me. So they've got no idea, and the payments are just being made and signed off, and no one's auditing or scrutinizing these projects, which are, of course, worth gazillions of dollars. Now, what happens is that, for the most part, I'm sure there are exceptions, but for the most part, the multinational IT firm then goes to the government and says, well, we can't find the experts we need, the IT experts, to work on this contract we're doing, for which no one knows what the purpose of the contract is, or what they're supposed to be delivering in terms of services or outcomes. And we have to go overseas to India to get the experts for this. And not a problem. And so the government just signs off on it. And then thousands upon tens of thousands, worldwide, it would be millions, because this is a scam going on in every Western country. And clearly it's coordinated and pre-scripted and arranged. It's not just a one-off in America or Australia. It's all over the Western world. So these non-services that are being very expensively supplied to the government, and these companies are feeding off the taxpayer for again, it's effectively a handout or an entitlement they're being given. So they're not doing any work for it. So they're bringing in these Indians. Now, if they employ a local American Western worker, they've got to pay the guy, $100, for example, $100 an hour, but they're billing it out at $500 an hour to the government per head. So they go, well, hey, we can really boost our profits here. We'll falsely claim, in a scam, we'll falsely claim that we can't find the people to work in the United States. We've got to go to India, and we can employ them for $40 an hour, $30 an hour. And we can, and wow, look at so we can bill it out at $500, and we can hire these people at $30 now on short-term skilled work visas. I mean, not skilled workers. These people probably can't even, cut a line of code or do anything to save their lives. So they bring these people in and just fatten up their bottom line big time. They don't do any work, and these people who sit around and do nothing, these Indian workers, they're okay with it. Hey, I do fuck all here and get paid for it. And no one's going to blow the whistle on this. No one's going to say anything about it. And they purposefully dumb down the sort of people they have, like the quality of project managers and senior project managers they have. are the lowest of the low quality, and they're overpaid for their capability, so they're not going to blow the whistle or rock the boat. And that's the whole thing: scam upon scam at every level, and they're using scam labour hire firms. Well, yeah, every scam imaginable is being employed in this process, and of course it's only made possible by the looting of the taxpayer, and which is what they're doing in a big. So these, again, gazillion-dollar projects, where they do nothing, and some of these projects, an installation project that began 15 years ago that apparently is still going on, it's taken them 15 years to install some new software, and it's still ongoing. So now, in terms of if you take a comparable private sector company business, and you look at the size of their sort of IT operations, and you look at an equivalent size in that particular government department, they're employing something in the order of 20 people for every one that the private sector company employs. I'll give you an idea of the inefficiency, and again, the looting of the taxpayer. Now, in this business I was sharing, we've got some first-hand experience at this. Not that long ago, we were bidding on a government contract, or through a subcontractor. So we were subcontracting to a main contractor that was being paid by the government. But part of the reason we're getting the contract, or being offered the contract, they offered it to us, by the way, was that this was sort of a demarcation dispute between a number of multinational firms, where each of their mission briefs, if you like, overlapped at a certain point, and they couldn't get anything done. So they thought, well, we'll go to someone outside the Beltway, and that's the only way we're going to get something done. So they came to us, they approached us and said, look, this is the work, we need it done. And it was about less than $1 million. It wasn't a massive contract or anything like that. But we looked at it and thought, okay, a little bit tight, but we can do it for that sort of price, provided they don't do mission creep on us or things like that. So, so we had the procurement people sort of signed off on it, and the engineering head sort of guy had signed off on it, and then we suddenly started running into problems. The multinational firms, with their army of again, the same thing, the Indian IT flunkies, and also in Australia we get the Philippines and other. These multinational firms were militating quite strongly that we shouldn't get the contract, that they should divvy it up amongst themselves. The big multinational firms, and they were really pushing hard to stop us from doing it. So we went in there and said, okay, you're saying there are problems, can't be done, it won't work, and da. So we asked them, what are the problems that you claim? And they couldn't say. And so they ummed and ahed and beeped and bopped, and that was it. So we thought, okay, well, unless you can say what the problems are, or which are the problem, or what are your concerns, then I don't know what we can, let's go ahead and let's do it. Now, it turns out the guy in overall charge of the total, multi-tier project was actually an Indian guy, and he is connected to a labour hire firm that brings in all these supposed Indian IT experts. So worldwide, in the Western world, the government is more than happy to use taxpayer looting as a backdoor for bringing in lots of Indians into the West. Now, given the interactions we had with these people, whether it be at project manager level or something, we're dealing with some very, very low level people here. We're dealing with people that are they're just there to be an excuse for billing the customer. That we'll supply 1,000 people. Now they've all got an IQ of 1, but that doesn't matter. We've supplied 1,000 people, therefore we can invoice you this amount. Now, I'll use round numbers here. The $1 million that we'd agreed to do, right at the last minute, we got invited to a meeting, which I thought was going to be the sign-off meeting, and then we were ambushed where the procurement people and the engineering people were all changed. So we turn up to this meeting expecting to see the people we've been dealing with. and they've all gone. They're not there anymore. There's new people in, and there's new rules. So they institute this ridiculous. They start putting ridiculous requirements in place. That didn't exist previously. On the third page of every document, there's a little smiley stamp star. Have you ever put smiley stamp stars? We require that. Without that, you can't have the and so they introduced these ridiculous, absurd. You have to have this, or have to before. You don't get the project. Now, my argument is, that's never been a requirement. Why are you introducing this requirement at the 11th hour? I mean, I don't want to go and get into the weeds on that, but suffice to say, it was all bullshit. And they just wanted to stay with the. Now, I kept watch on this, and they'll be at least 10 times what we were going to bill them for the project. So it's a massive money laundering scam is really what's going on here. But it's going on all across the Western world. Now it's being dismantled in the United States, this Doge thing, and Doge could be done, all over the Western world. But we need to understand that it's being used for, globalist social engineering purposes to bring as many brown people as they can into the West, be they qualified or unqualified, just to bring them in. They're using it, particularly Indians are benefiting from this. But they're not doing any work. They're not experts or anything like that at all. So, and now the jobs aren't needed. They're just feather bedding to a huge degree, and just stuffing people in there as an excuse to write big ticket invoices, because that's the deal that they struck for looting the taxpayer. But this is going on all over the Western world, and what certainly concerns me is that the taxpayer is being looted to a huge extent, as is being discovered by Doge. gazillion-dollar IT projects that do nothing, that achieve nothing, that no one knows even what they're about anymore, or what they're supposed to accomplish. But it's still disgorging vast sums of taxpayer money into the pockets of these multinationals that are in turn using that money to scam import millions of brown and black people into the West. And it's time that it stopped all over the Western world, not just in the US. You've been at Tassus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.